All right, what's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome to JMac Sports Cards. We are live here. We got a couple guests on today. We have Joshua from Mississippi. He has a YouTube channel, and both of these gents' links for their YouTube channels will be down in the video description below. So Josh F in Mississippi is his channel, and we got Huck DJ and Rips. Um, he also has a YouTube channel, and both of them are linked down below. And I'll drop them in the chat here in a little bit. So what I'm going to do is do a sort of a round robin. If you're coming to the channel here, most of you know me, so I'll give Huck. This is his first time on the show here, so I'll give him first ops here to introduce himself. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Huck.
All right, yeah, my name is Huck, otherwise known as DGen Rips on YouTube. I'm pretty new to this hobby. Really, just got into it last year, beginning of last year, sort of when Trevor and Justin Fields and all these guys were getting drafted, and it was just a lot of hype. 5 quarterbacks in the first round. I thought it's a great time to get back in. I was into it when I was really young, just a couple years old, and moved to Florida from New York, and my mom just threw out all of my cards, everything I had. So I was like, I got to get back into this one day, and it's like I thought it was a good time, and it became this YouTube channel, and just kind of took a life of its own. And I met Josh, and he's helped me so much with my channel, getting into this hobby, learning the ins and outs, and it's just been a really fun ride, and I love it. Now here I am.
Yeah, well, you almost have like a radio voice, so you got a great voice for sure.
Thank
So
you.
I'm sure that helps with as far as retention wise, because
Yeah.
and you're entertaining as well. But if
Thank
you
you.
haven't,
Thank you.
yeah, if you haven't checked out, I mean, I've actually started watching your content. I didn't know about you until Josh introduced me to you or to your
Yeah.
content, and then we talked about doing this collab here. And but now you're being suggested in my feed, and
Yeah.
I will go watch, and it's always entertaining. You do a really good job.
Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah,
Thank
man,
you.
for sure, for sure. Josh, you can do another intro here. You were on the last live stream, but maybe we'll have some new folks, and
Yeah.
and this is it's live now, but then people will watch it on a playback as well.
Yeah, sure. And like I said, initially, I don't know, what was it, about 14 years ago when I set up my YouTube channel, it was just mainly just to record my work, video clips, TV clips. I do a lot of community projects and things. I was always on TV for different stuff, helping, get things situated. But then, started with my son and wanting to record videos about sports cards and quick things. I'm not polished. And two is just going back to Huck. I go back to Huck I remember when he had 50 subs on his channel, and he was saying about taking it. He was going to take it seriously when he got to 100. And maybe that'll be the path that I'll take at some point as I get to 100 subs. But it's just having fun. It's just I mainly record stuff just that my friends and my folks love to see or want to see, and what I'm up to and things like that. So that's where I'm about at.
Yeah, and that's cool because I mean that's really at the end of the day that this is a hobby. So like I started this channel as a hobby, and if you make a little side cash off some ads, that's awesome. But it's this is really a passion project for most of us. But yeah, it's cool. So yeah, but you're close. You're at like 95 subs, right? So we need to get them over. Get them.
Yeah.
Let me help.
Let me help you. Let me help get you over.
And then I'll start taking it seriously. So.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Let's see. Ethos. So I've got another channel, investing channel, and I know Ethos from that niche. He says, "When you gonna get Ash Babes from Twitter on your stream?" I don't know who that is. You guys know who that is?
I do not.
I don't know. Not sure. So let's see. Tucker, I think this is one of your boys, DGen.
Yeah, that's my friend. That's my friend. Can we get DGen Rips?
No. Yeah, I know, and I I like the that concept, the retro gaming
Thank you.
concept. It's pretty,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good way to close it out. And you should at the end, if you haven't watched, he'll rip packs and then he'll show his most of the time losses, right?
Oh, it's
So
been brutal lately. It's been really rough lately. There's some awful products out there.
yeah, oh yeah, 2022 is terrible. I mean, it's doing research on 2022 is what has turned me into like an old grouchy old man talking about wax. I used to rip a lot, get into breaks, all kind of stuff, the last couple of years, but then I've just which is sort of a oxymoron because it was the most expensive time ever, right? But as I started researching the just wax in general of this year, I'm like, man, yeah, there's so many parallels. There's no way. There's just going to be probably a few key cards from every player that'll probably be hold value and be sort of sought after. But a lot of this stuff is not going to have much value at all. I don't think. What do you think? Both of y'all.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just started the new hockey set came out. Whatever, Upper Deck, just I don't know, Series 1 hockey. And like I could really, really appreciate when you get a Young Guns because that is the definitive rookie card. And there's no like that's it. That's you pull that card, it means something. That's your stock in that player. Whereas, yeah, football and basketball, as the new sets come out, even if the player's playing well, it degrades the previous set. It's just like it's a really weird, just not so great system. And watching your guys' live stream last time, it just put new perspective where it really is like a revolving door, and they've just it's hard to hold things. I was holding stuff from Donruss and Mosaic, and then just watching it just tumble in value when Prism and Optic came out, and I've started really just trying to anything that isn't numbered or like a short print, just getting rid of it, even if it looks cool, even if at the time it's worth something, because I've just learned, just going through a cycle that really they've made it so confusing and hard for some of these cards to maintain value.
Well, and two, jumping off on that, Huck, like, over the past 2 years too, things have changed where the base rookie now, maybe, aside from Young Guns and hockey, I mean, base rookies are not worth anything anymore as they were, previously with modern and ultra modern. So I think the game has changed even in that front. Used to be where you got a base rookie, it meant something. Now it doesn't. It's just part of the set that a lot of people are collecting at this point. So I think just the past 2-3 years, a lot of things have changed on what is actually considered valuable at this point.
Yeah, I think some people are starting to say that essentially like silvers are kind of like going to be the base rookies going forward. Almost to that extent, which they were like the most sought after things in early prisms, but now they're almost yeah. I mean, so I like you, Huck. I was I'm from North Carolina, so I lived in Charlotte too, so I was PC in LaMelo, and that's what put me down the rabbit hole of like I had what I thought it was going to be pretty rare, but it was a red wave mosaic LaMelo and a PSA 10, and I went to the pop report and I'm like, geez, I mean there are so many different and it was the true rookie, in other words, it wasn't the debut or whatever, but there's so many, and so I wound up just, sold it and sold most of my LaMelo. I've got one gold to 10 LaMelo and a 1 to 25 that's jersey numbered, so I'm keeping those two. But other than that, I sold all the rest, or I'm in the process. I'm kind of waiting for him to come back to sell some more of them.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Let's see. Just sold a bunch of base graded rookies today. Yeah, I've been, when the PSA members special, the $18 or the national special, I should say, I sent in like 50, 60 cards, and a lot of those were base because that was right at where stuff started changing, transitioning. So I got a lot of that stuff back and I sold it fast. I consigned a lot of it and stuff like that, just to move it
Nice.
quick. Yeah. So, Josh, what's on your mind, man? I know you're a big thinker. You're gonna keep us on topic here. So, what you got on your mind?
Well, I think it'd be good, talk about. I think a good topic would be talking about card shows, since I just set up as a dealer. Huck just recently went to a card show and made some deals, and you just got back from being a dealer, over in Arkansas. So I think it'd be a good topic. Talk about the state of card shows in general, and just some general thoughts on what you guys think. I'll sort of lead off, and then I'll get into what you guys got. I set up first. This is the first time ever. 2 weeks ago, I set up as a dealer at a card show. I didn't bring everything, but I brought a fair amount of stuff. Just I thought I could move. I was pleasantly surprised. I was able to sell about $1,200 worth, made about $650 profit. But the dynamic was different, and I think that's a thing that I really wanted to experience was, and I took a page out of your playbook. Jason put up people that I was only interested in looking at, and I got to hold a lot of cards that in a normal card show I wouldn't have been able to hold or talk about with somebody, because they had come up to me and said, here's my Jordan Fleer and here's my Brady Bowman, and getting into those conversations, getting into those deals. I made some mistakes too, in that aspect, especially when the doors open and you're hit with a $500 deal right off the bat. You're thinking about a lot of different things at that time too. So I think the more that I do it, but I tell you, I loved being a dealer. I thought it was sort of going a little bit to the dark side, but I enjoyed that dynamic, and I think it brought a lot of education to me of like I could get a lot into a lot more things and a lot more discussions that I want to have if I am a dealer. So that was my perspective from the whole thing, and I really enjoyed it. So I don't know if you want.
Yeah. I think someone said your mic is hitting your jacket zipper, and it's get some feedback on that. There you go.
All right.
Perfect. Yeah. Cool. No doubt. Now, Huck, was this your first show you ever been to, or have you been to other shows?
Oh, well, I've only been to, so every month at the first weekend of the month, this one just like small hotel, just like 20 minutes away, they have this show. It's pretty small, say, only like 100 people there, like maybe 20 something tables, really small. And that's really all I've ever been to. And I'm just sort of starting now to get the hang of it, what it's, go around and see everything, and then and trading. And, I'm just starting to get the hang of it. And I was just at a show this weekend, this weekend now. I was there Friday and Saturday, and it's like you just get a pulse on the hobby, even though it's a small show. It's great because you get a pulse, you get to see what people are buying, selling. Like you think. Like when I'm home, I just I think, oh my God, I love all these Trevor cards I have and these Mac Jones. And you go to the show and nobody would even touch Trevor and Mac with a 10-foot pole. You say, oh, what could I get for this card? And they just look at it and they just hand it right back to you. It's happened with my Trevor card. So you get like it's like a reality check, and sort of what I really enjoy about it. But I've been trying really hard lately to I've been learning how eBay like pales in comparison to the shows when it comes to fees, when it comes to just the quickness of trading stuff. And it was just a lot of fun, and you learn a lot. You really do. You don't know the hobby until you go to these shows and you just see what it's really like, and just gives you a whole new perspective. I really enjoy hobbies, or really enjoy the shows. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And it's I've learned too. It does give you a pulse. It does give you the climate, sort of how the hobby is, at present. But sometimes it's regional too. I've noticed that as well. I've been in some areas where, it's one vibe, and then another area it's hobbies thriving and alive. So it can also be sort of a false positive too. But so the show I went to, I set up at in Arkansas. I've been this is my third time at it, and I've seen it sort of going in decline each and every time.
Yep.
The last show I met and hung out with Josh at was in Alabama. That area is booming. That area is growing and experiencing lots of new collectors. That show in particular in Trustville. I mentioned that in my video about it. It was tons of a good handful, a good deal of the people that came through. It was their first show ever, and and it was some of that at this Arkansas show that I went to, but much so, and even the
Uh-oh. Hello? Did we lose JMac?
I think I think we did.
Uh-oh. We're hijacking the show.
Well, he'll log back in. We'll just keep it going.
Is it still like can the people still hear us? Are we still live?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they can still hear us.
Yeah, this is DGen and Josh's sports cards now.
Well, and here going back to sort of to the point, and Huck, you got the experiences too, was about the ability to make trades and to get real value for some of your cards that you wouldn't normally get if you sell them online. Now you and Jason are both sell a ton of cards on eBay. I'm different in that regard. I don't sell a lot of cards on eBay. But I think you got to have a direction for where you're going to go with some of your cards, and some cards are good for eBay, but when you're at a show too, you actually get to see, you can do as many pictures as you want on eBay of what a card actually looks like, but when you got it in your hands and it's right in front of you and you're able to take it out of a one touch or whatever that, and you can really see what the actual value and quality of that card is, I think that makes a huge difference too. Across the board. Having that hands-on, no, you can't replicate that online is what I was trying to say is, touching and feeling a card, being able to talk to somebody, being able to trade with somebody. Those are the advantages that, a card show has, any card show, big or small.
Yeah. It's exactly right. It's just like going online and doing some window shopping. Really, it doesn't even come close. Because when I'm there and I'm looking at these cards and I'm seeing them and I see some of these cards that just look so cheap in person and just don't have that appeal. And then like the one Otani card I bought at the show this past week, I left it in my other room. I could go grab it in a bit, but it just caught my eye. And looking at it, in my hands, I was like, I could tell this is special. This is so cool. I was like, you know what? This downtown Justin Fields, I mean, it is what it is, but it's like, I don't know. I have no attachment to this. The Otani card, I was like, this draws my eye and this is really cool. And I was like, I felt no regrets when I made that trade for that Justin Fields downtown. It was like on eBay, I would have been hesitant, but yeah, you're right. In person, when you see some cards, there are some that just really catch your attention and draw you in and they're just special. It's really like, it's going to shows is a must. I love it.
And Jason, you want to jump back in here? And Jason, you're really good at this too. Especially too, card shows. You're able to, if someone has a lot of the stuff that you like, so if you're talking about trying to get a bulk deal instead of just getting a one or two cards that you can do normally online or something, when you're at a card show and you're able to, someone's in your wheelhouse of the stuff that you like, and they got a bunch of it. It's easy to put together a bulk deal and get a better deal on cards that you want to get, whether you're buying, selling, or trading, type deal.
100%. When my internet went out, what was I saying?
You're talking about Arkansas. You were just finishing up about, that it was Trustville is different than Arkansas.
Okay. Yeah. And I was saying that like it's slowing there. But I would say the promoter recognized that. And so in 23, he's moving down, he's scaling down to a smaller location with less tables. So he's resetting. So it's a good promoter there. So he sees, and he recognizes and it's too many tables for the amount of hobby in that area. Right. So smart promoter. But I will say at that show too, it was like, I'd say 90% of the people there were just collectors. Like the flippers are not as, as prominent. There were a few. And, but I noticed that they really only My table was fairly priced. I know, Josh, you were telling me you were setting yours a little under comps, which is
Yep.
kind of rare to see. And so I'm the same way. Mine are at comps or a little under comps, and but the flippers come to my table, and then they're like, okay, I need to go find someone I can steal cards from. They weren't doing deals with me,
Yeah.
even though I would have done a bulk deal. I usually will do bulk deals with people and give them good deals, but I'm still kind of learning the this area in Arkansas. So, what was I gonna say? So, yeah, to your point, Josh. Matter of fact, at the last show in Memphis, there was a guy who had a bunch of '90s stuff in early 2000s, and I showed it in the last video, and I consigned a lot of it. And I'm looking right now, like I bought a lot for like $200, and I'm way up. I consigned it to DC Sports. It's ending here tonight. And it was like a Shaq scoring Kings, which the Jordan goes for a lot, several hundreds. I got a Shaq, and he threw that in there. A Steph Curry rookie, some LeBron, cheap low end rookies, but they still do good. On when selling them. So yeah, so that's what I look for. That's really usually only buying I do at shows for the most part is bulk deals. And that's just sort of what I've learned to be the best way to get value because, sometimes you can find something. I will say there was this one table I was at this weekend. I don't know if I got it on hand. Yeah, I actually do. Let me show you.
All right.
Well, I would have to bust it open, but I'll just show it. It's a set.
Okay.
But this is the 1989 Oscar Mayer Detroit Lions team set, and in this there's a Barry Sanders rookie that is 89, 90 stuff. None of it's rare, right? Well, this happens to be one set that's semi-rare in that era, and the Barry goes for $400 or $500 in a PSA 10. In a PSA 9, it does like 60 or 70. So there's this one guy who had like all of this, like, Alf and like Looney Tunes cards and all this stuff. And the way he was selling his cards was he was just packing up stuff like this, right? So I went, I said, let me look through this guy's stuff because he had some 90s basketball, and it was he would have player packs, and so the reason it caught my attention was he had like a John Stockton that had one of the crazy inserts that the Jordan goes for real high end. So I was like, okay, so he might have some more stuff like that. Why not picking this up for $5? And I got home and listed it for 20 on eBay, and it sold within 10 minutes, right? So 5 to 15, right?
Yeah, that's a win.
But yeah, but most times I like to stack about 20 to 50 cards together at a table and say, give me a deal. Let's work a deal on something like that.
Well, and I think too, if you're just getting into the hobby, I think that's the way to go too. If you're trying to buy and you're just trying to learn about things, which by the way, you should never stop learning about anything related to the hobby. I think there's always something to learn every day. We should all be learning. But like if you're trying to just, get a collection together or trying to start somewhere, I think you can't go wrong with buying, a bulk amount of cards together. Because if you get one or two that just hit, that'll help your journey. Get to where you want to go, wherever that is. And sometimes we don't even know where. I can tell you and Huck and myself. We don't know yet where you want to eventually go. With the end collection. Think of it like that. What does that end collection look like? I don't know. I hope it's stuff that I can pass down to my son that he can, take and sell or have and give to his kids, something like that. But we don't know. And I think we're also trying to just figure some of those things out.
Yeah, no, that's what makes it so great. Such a great hobby is there really is no end destination. You're always learning. You're always trading up to something else. There's always going to be new players and new trading card games, new everything. Just keep cycling and keep it going. And it's you just keep building up until you get to stuff where you're just like, you know what, this is the pinnacle, this is the peak. Never know what it'll be or when, but just keep cycling through and trading and just building those stacks, and And yeah, it's so fun. There's so many different just facets and stuff going on and things, and the environment's always changing. It's so cool. I really wish I got into this a lot earlier. It's really awesome.
Yeah, 100%. It's exciting to, definitely to keep learning. Like I started watching another channel that the Junk Wax, was it? I don't know. He does top 10 Junk Wax lists, and it's a pretty popular channel. Junk Wax Hero, not Hero. Someone in the chat might know. But anyway, he does top 10 lists. And that's where I learned about a lot of the 90s inserts and the inserts from watching those top 10s, what sells and stuff like that. And then he'll do like some honorary mentions. And a lot of times it'll be those things that, and so like that, actually this Barry Sanders is one I learned about on that channel. I didn't even know this rookie card existed, but, so we picked up one of these, Josh, another,
Wow. What?
Picked this up in a trade. Well, actually, I got this and a Deion Sanders PSA 10 rookie.
Ooh, that's probably hot right now.
Yeah, and I traded away an RJ Barrett auto for it, but I was like, if I get I don't usually like to trade away an auto for rookies or something non auto unless it's vintage. So I'll trade an auto away for some vintage.
So what is that? Is that a PSA?
PSA 4.
PSA 4, Jim Brown. Wow.
65 Philadelphia. So, he doesn't have, as he doesn't have, he's got a very small amount of cards, period. So, he's only got like 6 Topps cards, period.
Yep.
Like I said, LaMelo's got 135 mosaics in this year or in his rookie year, just mosaic. Jim Brown's got 6 Topps cards, and then he's got like his whole PSA registry or master set is 65 cards total. That's all he's got. So I don't think I'm trying to like pursue that, but when I see a Jim Brown and I'm like, and then someone's willing to trade, I could trade some ultra modern for something like that. I'll do it. So there you go. Junk Wax Investor. That's the guy who does the top 10 list, and he does really, really good research behind it. So he'll say, the top 10, and they'll say what what is sold in the past, and pop count on it, and so yeah, he just does a lot of research with his video, so he does a good job. Sports Card Show, what's up? How you doing?
Yep.
Hingle got me up to 100, so I will be taking.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. All right, because there's so many young people. Like me, mid-20s, we finally have a bit of cash and we're able to, pursue hobbies for real. And we wanted to learn, how to bypass so many mistakes that people that are just breaking into a hobby make. Like I learned a lot from your guys' last stream, sort of just like how when you're making trades, it shows it's better to, go for the guys that have those achievements under their belt and sell the risk to other people, let them take the gamble on the really young guys and ultra modern stuff. But yeah, so like Josh, like if you made a channel with like tips and teaching people some knowledge, like not even just ripping stuff, but you have just so much knowledge on what sets are just sets and trading and how to, with grading fees and if it's worth grading, there's just so many different things that you could teach people. Like I really think like you pursue that. I think that would be legit. I think there'd be something there.
Well, I appreciate that. I think it's just a matter of, seeing so much all the time, and Jason, you're like this too. It's just that you see, the more that you get to see and get to think about and figure out what that card is, to put that in your like library, your mental library, so you can always like go back to that and say, oh yeah, I know what that card is. I know what that grade is. I know what that generally goes for. Now, obviously the market changes, but I think just seeing things as much as you can, and that's just more of that education component. Tucker's talking about sell or hold Joe Burrow. Well, it's kind of funny you bring that up because I got Joe Burrow right behind me that has actually a story with Jason too. I was actually going to sell this earlier in the year, I actually traded a Mahomes and a Brady rookie, not anything big at all, but I still have my Joey B. I haven't sold it.
Hold it up real quick
Hold-
again. I'll go big on this
Yeah,
exhibit.
look at that. That's sick.
Joey B. RPA 1095
Hell
out of
yeah.
99, 83 out of 99. He's ride or die for me. I mean, even today when you were watching that game, I mean, constantly just getting back up, and that whole draft class, and Huck, he sort of came in right in after that. But I mean, that 2020, draft class with Burrow and Tua and Hurts, I mean, they're just dominating right now. And, from a wax perspective, even retail stuff, that stuff is still just crazy high, getting into anything. So I kind of feel fortunate that I have that I still have it because I could have sold it. But I'm a huge believer in Joe Burrow. But look, just to Jason's point, if someone came to me today and said, "Do you want to trade into a Jordan, or do you want to trade into a Brady rookie, or you want to trade into something like Huck was saying, prove somebody that's fully proven?" I'm doing that in a heartbeat. I'm not thinking twice about it, because that's where I want to be at the end of the day.
Yeah, and to Josh's point, like this is where experience in knowing the cards, because to the point of buy or hold, like if I were to say buy or hold Joe Burrow, I would say I'd probably sell 99% of Joe Burrow. If I had like an RPA, I'd just hold that. I wouldn't hold, even a field level select, I wouldn't hold it. I wouldn't hold that. I wouldn't hold anything else. But if there's certain cards that, yeah, I mean, like if certain player does pop, then those are the kind of cards that an RPA of a player, and then even if you can get to upper echelon, RPAs or, the sought after stuff, gold prisms and those kind of things. There's just those are holds, I think. But like if I had lots and lots of them, I would sell lots and lots of them and keep one or two. So. But again, and it's to each his own with like as far as risk tolerance of that. But I think a lot of people probably learned a lot because to your point, Huck here, so like keeping a lot of these players that we're talking about, LaMelo and even whoever you name them, young players right now, doing that it was okay when the market's riding high, right? It's okay to speculate and prospect because it's real easy to move in and out, and they're not like falling off a cliff on a regular basis. But now when the market's doing this is the same principles don't apply, right? There's a new set of rules when the market's doing this. Same for stocks and same for crypto, right? So when it's going like this, yeah, you can get into when the market's going, you get into penny stocks, you can get into any kind of crypto, you can get into the little crazy cryptos, little Shiba coins, and
Yeah.
you name them, right? Because they're going to go right up with Bitcoin,
Yeah.
But in the downslide, what goes down the most? Those Shiba coins and you know what I mean? So same with these prospects have fallen off, and then a slew of them start getting injured, and then everyone gets scared and they sell off their whole collection.
Correct.
And yeah.
Well, you both, Huck, and you guys can talk about this. Like, you both come from an investing background. Huck does stocks, and JMac, you got your own investing channel. You do a bunch of different investing on a variety of different things. So you guys sort of come from that world. I do not, but I mean, I think that helps outline and provide the guardrails of how you can be successful in this hobby. If you're willing to pay attention to those market tendencies and how things are riding, every which way, and how to get in and out and do what you got to do. I think you both are at an extreme advantage for what you got as who you are, from that perspective.
Yeah.
What year downtown you got, Tucker? Is it a rookie downtown? If it's a rookie downtown, it probably goes in the same bucket as like a RPA. But if it's not a rookie, then I don't know.
Well, and Huck really started his channel. Going back to Joey Burrow, sold it downtown, to get his channel rolling. PSA 10 it pulled. So I think those cards are really great. Look, I think Downtowns, Kabooms, all the hit cards are really fun to have, but and pull if you can pull them if you're lucky enough to do that. But I think 20 years from now, are we going to be talking about Kaboom cards? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if you want to go ahead. I mean, it's cool to have if you want to have a couple and I think it's cool to have some of those unique, different shiny cards. Because we all like those different things, but are they the cards to have at the end of the day? No, I don't necessarily think so.
Well, and they're like we're starting to learn, as the print runs on this stuff keeps rising, that they're not as rare as they used to be. It's just like the silver prisms. You can't compare 2012, 13, 14 prisms and select prisms, silvers, I should say, to current silvers in any product, because you look at the pop reports, and then that's how you get a idea on how rare they were. You can do a compilation of SGC, PSA. BGS is almost impossible to navigate, so you can't really. But you can start seeing. You just look at those years, silver prisms, and then you look at current years. Just pick a player. If anybody watching the stream wants to learn, do that. Pick a player, look at the silver prisms, 2012, 2013, and just do that as an exercise for yourself to start learning about rarity, and that'll help you a lot with like understanding the current retail. I like Huck. I love to hear your because how are you obtaining wax, and like what's your process with your video making, and yeah, so how does that all work for you?
Yeah, so it just started like trying to nail down the restock schedules, like just going once a day for a week or 2 weeks, getting those restock schedules down, and then just sort of showing up at the right time, being friendly with the vendor, not being a what to them, not being rude, but just like not being a prick to them, just showing them, you're a nice guy, you're just there, let them do their thing, whatever. And then, you start showing up and you're friendly with them, and they let you, they say, okay, I'm done, go ahead, and they'll just be really nice to you. And so just once a week, going to a Walmart or a Target, knowing when they restock, and knowing, if there's anything good coming out, paying attention to what's coming out. And see, I'll show up Walmart whatever time, Target whatever time, and just buying one of each of every new thing, bringing it home, ripping it on camera. Sometimes, it's really aggravating. Other times it's extremely rewarding. But at the end of the day, when people tell me, it's like help them make a decision whether to buy something or not, what kind of value they can expect, if the set's any good or if it's not. And when people tell me, I help them make their decision, then it's all worth it. And so yeah, that's sort of my process. Go learn the restock schedules, just go buy one of every new thing, and just try to have some fun with it. There's too many people ripping sports cards, ripping packs of sports cards. You gotta make it a little fun. It's easy to just read the names of the cards. I was just like, what, I could do a bit more here. And just growing up, I was a big Call of Duty fan, and people used to upload recordings of themselves playing, but instead of talking about the gameplay, they would just tell a life story and experience. So I sort of was influenced by those things, by Call of Duty commentaries. And I was like, I could mix that in with sports cards and make something unique, while, adding a bit of a like degenerate gambling spin on it. Cause I do love, sports gambling and investing in stocks and stuff. So just tried to mesh it all together. And yeah, that's sort of how everything just came to be. And I'm really lucky. It resonates with people. But yeah, that's my process, knowing the restock schedules, going out. And I mean, I don't care if it's a good product or not. Like, I'll just buy it anyway, because at this point, again, with the channel success, it doesn't matter to me, I have to shell out a couple bucks, but it's worth it for people. I really feel like it makes a bit of a difference. So yeah, that's sort of the whole process. It's a lot of
I
fun.
think it makes a tremendous difference. Even before he started doing it, before you started doing it, Huck, I think, just get an honest review. I think Huck sort of says some of the things that a lot of us are thinking when we're ripping boxes and things. You know, if you're out there and you want to know about a product, I think Huck does a great job of articulating what that product is and coming from a fresh standpoint of view of that. But like you alluded to earlier, Jason, when he puts the the prices at the end, the comps at the end, and nobody else is really out there doing that, because I think part of the sports YouTube world, I think, is a little afraid to do that, because if they really knew, when you, especially on hobby too, now not just retail, but if you're ripping hobby and you're spending hundreds and thousands of dollars and you're getting nothing back really substantial in return, I think you'd have a lot less people just showcasing the hits on their channel, and rather than just giving it straight. And I think that's that pure honesty that Huck brings to what he does, I think is so really cool to the hobby.
Thank
Well,
you.
the I mean, I thought about making a video on this, but I don't really want to get into I mean, I guess I have a little bit get into some of the hobby drama stuff, but I don't want to be a channel that's I don't want to make focus of that. But a lot of your channels that cover ripping packs and stuff like that, a lot of them are the ones that people watch, or some of them are breakers that also do content. So there's a bit of an agenda there, even if they want to be honest and forthright about their experience of the product. They also just can't trash it, because they're going to be breaking it, right? So because then they want to buy into the breaks, right? And then some of the other ones are bigger channels that get sponsorships that kind of also which is not listen, I'm not opposed to people getting paid sponsorships with content. On my other channel, I get lots of sponsorships. I don't have anything on this channel as of yet. So on my other channel I do, but not against it. But it does sort of, gives you. It's hard to get the honest, 100% forthright truth. So for instance, one of the big channel, Pac-Man, he does a good job, like, talking about, showing products and stuff, but he's just giving his opinion. I like this. Oh, look, last year I had fun. And to him, he's good, because he's, he enjoys the hobby and stuff like that. But, he's just, he's got a couple 100,000 subscribers, tons of ad revenue. It's not to average collectors. They can't go out and buy the products because they're not having ad revenue come in each month. So people look at it as gospel, but when in reality, in other words, I'm like Josh. I like what you do, and stick to it. Even if you do begin to get sponsorships, tell them, listen, even if Panini wants to sponsor your tops, tell them, listen, I'm not changing the channel. I'm not changing the format. Stick to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Pac-Man, like, like we say, he's the squeaky clean guy. I've got nothing bad to say about him. But in a time where, people are really hurting and people are really struggling. And if you want to participate in this hobby, it is not easy right now. And I really feel for people out there. And like when, for example, he put out a video like a week ago that just kind of infuriated me. He ripped like 8 select basketball hanger packs. And oh my God, this is the greatest product in the world. Everything is so amazing. Everything's so great. And it's like, you maybe got $5 for $150 worth of stuff, and it's just disingenuous. It's not right to the people to make it seem like this product is amazing when it's just not. In terms of the value you're getting, and I just don't think it's fair to some people. So I try to right a bit of that wrong. I try to show the real value. I mean, I'll try to rip, if it's a really hyped up product, I'll try to get 3 at least blasters or 2 megas in a video to, give a real example of what things are like. But it's people are really struggling, and it's like if you want to say, that was a good rip or this, you gotta try to be at least a bit objective. I know the money's probably really good for him, so it's hard for me to say, but
Yeah.
it's tough. People are really trusting your opinion and what you're saying, and you want your people to your viewers to put their money in the right places. It's really
Yep. 100%. 100%. Let's see. There's a side conversation going on in the chat. They're talking about like sports card radio. I guess they're exposing some PPP loans, but we're not gonna get into all that here on this stream. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy watching it, and it's all entertainment, and I enjoy what's going, watching and seeing what's going on in the hobby. But I don't really want to make it the topic of the live. Josh, you at your first show, which was pretty amazing. That was your first time setting up. I know you've been going to shows for a long, long time, right?
Yeah.
What were some of the biggest things that you learned? I know you hit on some of the things, but what did you learn the most with setting up?
I think it's to always first off, I don't do this anyways, but I think you don't judge anybody. I mean, and we've talked about it too. Like, I mean, when you do go to a card show, I do want you to, put on some deodorant, take a shower, do what you got to do. Some of these folks, but I'm saying, I think if it should open you up to always have a conversation with anybody and don't judge anybody. I had some kids. We had some kids that came up that were, probably 14, 15, 16 years old that had cards that I wish I had, so I think it's just part of that dynamic is just always. And the second thing is, I think know the rest of the room. So if you got people that are really high on their prices and they're way above comps and they're not willing to move on anything, I think that plays into who you are as a dealer. If you're set up as a dealer, take advantage of that, be flexible, have the conversations, open up the lines of communication. I think, you start seeing some of those dynamics take place as you walk around, a card show. This person's not going to move on this. I got to move on to the next one, and I say too is, people, when I was always going, to the card shows, and people always ask me, and Jason, you just did, like, everybody's asking, what are you looking for? And I would always say, I'm looking for the best deal. I'm not looking for a specific person per se when I go to a card show. And I think I take that mentality as I was being a dealer. I was saying, what kind of deal are you looking for today? And then having that conversation with someone. So I think I was taking my own, how I approach the hobby at a card show and implementing it with being set up as a dealer. I'd want to be treated like I want to be treated, when I go to a show, and not be, hard on someone. That's why I was telling you, like, I had a lot of my stuff under comps, but it was stuff I wanted to move, and it was stuff that I was making profit on. So I think, and people get a little, I'll say this last thing, we got these people walking around, and everybody does it, and I get it. Walks around the car show, you got your cell phone, you got your eBay listings pulled up, you got your last sold, everybody's doing it, looking up at least recent comps. But here's what I would say at a card show. Don't discredit someone who's willing to sit there and hand you cash right then and there, willing to transfer to your PayPal or your Venmo, and is an instant buyer right there in front of you, than to go through all the other things of thinking, oh, I can list this card on eBay and I can get X amount, or I can get this and this and this. No, your card is only as valuable as someone is willing to pay for it. And I think that gets lost a lot too at a card show, just in general. But I think at a card show too, people are just like, I'm not going to pay X, Y, and Z for this, because it's not this. Well, I didn't have any of those issues because, like I said, I knew what the comps were on my cards. I was below them. And it made those deals a lot easier with a lot of people. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Like, it's funny. I know we talked about possibly, talking about also selling on eBay, and it kind of ties into what you're talking about there. That so I sell a lot on eBay. I know Huck, you do too, right?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, a ton.
And so I've been trying, then I like I said, I tried Whatnot, terrible, again, guess what? Here's my takeaway, Josh. People on Whatnot use eBay. People in person use eBay. So again, why not use eBay? So that's my takeaway. So that's why I use shows. I use shows to. I'm not really trying so much moving forward, and sort of came to that revelation this year. I don't know, sometime this year was that I use shows to get inventory, make connections, and shake hands with people, say what's up, those kinds of things. If I sell cards, that's an added benefit, you know. But if everywhere else uses eBay as the what a card's valued at, then I've just determined that it's best to just sell. So I'm making a huge push myself to move tons of inventory onto eBay, and so yeah. So when I bring all my slabs, the only slabs I bring is if I've already listed them on eBay. So I bring them. So and then if one sells, I take it down. I'll take the listing down. Um, yeah, I mean, it is it's the end all be all, of the hobby. So it's where, like you said, Josh, you got to show. You'll have one person there ready to buy right now, and a lot of times, yeah, even if it's like 75% or 80% of a good fair comp, then yeah, it's probably worth taking that cash right there, because you don't have to deal with the it being tracked and the
craziness.
everything attached to it. I would
Yeah.
rather take it. I would rather take 75% and sell it to you in person, right?
Yep.
But end of the day, moving inventory, I just I prefer eBay, selling online to selling in person. So
Yeah,
this one,
and
go ahead.
well, I was gonna say, look, there's tons of places right now. You can go to My Slabs, you can go to eBay, you can go to auction, PWCC. I mean, there's tons of ways to sell all types of cards. You guys have the inventory. Jason, you sell primarily slab cards on eBay. Huck, you primarily sell a lot of your raw cards on eBay.
Yeah.
So I think if you have that type of inventory, that's wonderful, and I think that's the way to go. That's easy to go. You got the most eyes on it. It's easy to get rid and move that stuff. I just don't have that type of I don't have that many cards that I do that with. I'm more of a in-person local card show, Discord, relationships with dealers, that type of stuff. That's just my way that I roll. So I like to learn from y'all on that front too. Just because you guys are doing a ton of inventory a month. Every month, you guys are selling tons of cards and moving lots of cards, which I think is incredible and great.
No, I mean to Ethan's point, to your point, yeah. I mean, there's different ways to move inventory. Like there's people that do Instagram story says whatever works best for you is what you should. However you can be the most effective in the hobby is what you should focus on. I've just learned that I'm not a good salesman. Like even like in an interactive way on Instagram, like trying to sell my card. I don't want to have. I don't want to have to justify or talk you into buying the card. You want it or you don't. That's why I don't like, like Whatnot. I felt like I had to try to be a salesman for a card. I don't want to do that. On eBay, the cards sell themselves. On Twitter or on Instagram, you have to get into. Again, people are using eBay comps and they want you to give it to them for cheaper than eBay. Again, it's the same scenario. So on Twitter, yeah, same thing. You're not going to. You typically sell a card on Twitter for what it's selling for on eBay. They're going to say, I want it for 15% less than eBay, right? I mean, let's just be real. So, but if you're very effective at that, I'm not saying, obviously do you, whatever works best for your how you feel best about moving cards off, 100% do that, right?
Well, as long as you're keeping it front that can't go broke, making profit. As long as you're constantly moving that needle and you're selling a card, or you're not taking a severe loss, because I think that's another thing that doesn't get talked about a lot is, look, there are cards you take a loss on, that you get into, that you graded, player gets hurt, injured, whatever the deal is.
Yep.
And you have to take a loss on that. And people don't want to take losses. They don't feel like that's part of the hobby. And that is part of the hobby. Every card is not going to, 2, 3, 5, 10x. There are cards that are going to go down in value.
Yeah.
And you got to be able to roll with that as well,
And yeah, no, the opposite of it is true as well, where people don't want to pay a premium for a good player and buy something expensive while it's high when it could always go way higher. People, yeah, they can't take a loss, or they don't want to buy a winner. They just want to get in on something cheap and 10x something and be rich overnight. It's like it's a lot of it is psychological, not getting too attached to something. And yeah, just being honest when hey, you lost this time, you want to live to fight another day. And I've been learning that a lot with Trey Lance, with this whole draft, with Mac Jones, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, just trying to trade my way into more steady players that have some MVPs or good seasons, plural, under their belt. That's why I've loved shows. Is I go there and I take all these modern players, and it's like, let me let them take the risk on these players, and I could trade them for players that have some really nice accolades under their belt. Like I just traded Justin Fields, and I was able to get an Ohtani, really nice one, of the same value for a downtown Justin Fields and a couple bucks. It's like, okay, let him take that risk, let him gamble on that. I'll take something that's way higher chance of continue climbing. But there's just so many different things in this hobby, just so many ways to go at things that, buy the dip, or when to take a loss, or when you could buy high and it'll keep going higher. It's just it's a lot of very, very interesting just tactics and approaches to this hobby.
Well,
That's what people
and the thing is,
love.
same thing is too. Let's say you sell a card at a loss. What could you take that money today that you sold that card for
Exactly.
and put it into something that could be profitable?
Yep.
I think that people, that doesn't get into a lot of people's minds either when I see at the card show and stuff like that. And just people I talk to too is like, well, I bought a card for $60 and someone's offering me 120. It's not the dream that I want it to be of 300 or 400. Take the $120 right now,
Yep.
and then you can use that money to buy more cards or get into things that you want to get into.
Yeah.
No one's getting, the general hobbyist, let's put it that way, is not getting rich, okay, by buying. If it was about just buying the rich cards, all three of us could just go out and buy, $100,000 cards, and we're not doing that. You have to work your way up through the hobby, and people, I think, the last couple years, especially with this pandemic and the rise of everything, it's just everyone's felt like they can get rich. Feels like you can get rich off the hobby just like that. And no, that's never been how it's been ever.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And I'll say, like, Josh, I grade a lot. So what I do is, like, I'll get these orders back, right? And I'll list them all on eBay, right? And I will it usually works out, it balances out like this. Like some of the cards I will usually wind up selling for a little bit more than market price if the player's high or something like that, right? And then some will sell right around market price, right? And then some of them I'll take L's on, right? So, but in the big scheme of things, it's all kind of balancing out, right? So taking lots of L's, breaking even on some, winning on some, right? But when you got a variety, like that going on, so that's why I'm always a proponent, of buying collections, buying bulk, buying. Like if you're trying to be a dealer, like, so, I've transitioned to it. It was a sort of an evolution for me to transition to a dealer mindset when selling cards, because I was being attached to cards, and like you said, Huck, being like emotionally attached to cards, not wanting to sell them and not wanting to sell them for a loss, and yada yada yada. So it's you literally have to disassociate yourself from cards to sell them, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it's tough. And like you said, like I'm sure you, Huck, probably it was hard for you because you're pulling all of them, right? A lot of the stuff you're selling.
Yeah, you're right.
You
That's
pulled
totally
it.
right.
You saw it. You
Yeah.
had the emotional rush of pulling it, right?
And that's a real thing. You really do get more attached to a card if you pull it yourself. I've definitely noticed that. Absolutely.
What's the best thing you've ever pulled out? And then you can go, Josh. What's the best card you pulled in retail this year? Let's just narrow it down to this year.
I think it's it's so horrible that I didn't get it on camera. Like one of the only times I didn't get it on camera is when I hit this Justin Fields downtown out of just a cello pack of optic just in my car. Like I couldn't even believe it. And I was so mad I didn't get it on camera. But that was the best thing I pulled in retail this year for sure.
I mean, you pulled some one-on-ones and some things that retail hobby. You pulled some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. In terms of like value-wise, money-wise, I think the Fields might be the most right now. One-on-ones in retail, I hit the Amanda Nunez was awesome. That was hobby select, UFC, the Josh Allen downtown, the Frank Shamrock one-on-one. I've hit some pretty awesome stuff. Some pretty cool stuff this year. And
it's funny. I was just gonna say it's funny you mentioned select UFC. I was it was one of the only products that was fairly affordable, right? So I did rip a lot of that. I ripped about, I don't know, 6 hobby boxes, then I ripped probably 10 blasters. And the funny thing with that was, I don't know if it was like the early blasters of select UFC. There was a lot of gold and the animal prints in there. So I hit like it just sold, and the guy just paid for it on eBay. I don't even remember the fighter's name. He wasn't a big name fighter, but it's actually still to this present day. There no other. It was a octagon side elephant prism Matthews Nikolai. So I still haven't. There's still no other listed elephant prism. So anyway, it just sold, and I hit a gold rose,
very nice,
and a couple other golds, just like that. So that was the only product that I had any success out of was select UFC.
Yeah, and you're right. The first wave of that felt way better than later on. I ripped a lot
of one-on-ones, a lot of one-on-ones in that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Jason, you brought up too. I want to get in with y'all too. Is about you talked about grading, which I think is very important. And you've actually done some recent things here recently with some of your videos grading. I think it's and I saw some comments too about SGC. Ethan talking about SGC in the comments. I think it's a worthwhile topic to talk about, since things are changing grading wise as a whole. It used to be that it was just PSA and BGS, and then SGC was strictly vintage only. That you got now. I think the wheels have changed as the past couple of years, and then I think that component of it too is kind of really takes a lot of education too, as to what chances and things are you willing to wait for and take turn times. Now, Jason, you do a ton of subbing, and you've subbed to everybody. I've subbed to PSA, BGS, SGC. Huck's done PSA and SGC and subbing. So I think I'm interested to hear sort of where you both are at, sort of your thoughts on grading and sales and just in general.
Yeah. So with my channel, I'm ripping all the newest stuff, like brand new, and when I've learned, like we've been saying, when a set comes out, like usually just based on how the market is, that set, when it's out, when it's the set people are chasing, that's when the value is the highest. So, if I could pull a nice card of Mac Jones or something, or Cade Cunningham, and I know the clock immediately is ticking. Like when you get a brand new car, it's already going down in value. When the clock is ticking and you need to get something graded quick and flip it, I've had such a wonderful time with SGC, because it's the headquarters is 20 minutes from where I live, so I'm getting stuff back in 5 days and selling it, and I'm making a decent profit, being the first to grade stuff. So it's like SGC, when it comes to time, just that time value of money, and not everything requires you to be quick like that. Sometimes with PSA, it doesn't. It depends really what you're grading. But for me personally, it's a lot of modern stuff, and I know SGC isn't known for modern stuff, but grading modern stuff and getting it on eBay or shows quick has been really great. It's been just giving me an extra little boost when I'm selling stuff. I'm making little extra margins, just getting the ultra modern stuff out quick. But of course, PSA for modern basketball and football, at the shows, people are mostly want that for something in a PSA slab. But at the show this past weekend, I had my Justin Fields downtown 10 in a SGC slab. And the person who I was trying to trade with at first, who was probably around my age, he was like, I don't want SGC, only PSA. I value it like as if it were just a raw card if it's in an SGC slab, even though it was a 10. So I was like pretty bummed. And then I went to a table with a guy that was, older than me, probably around your guys' age. And he didn't care. He was like, I'm not saying you guys, I'm not saying you guys are old.
40, you mean 43 years old? Is that what you're
yeah,
saying?
yeah. So he didn't care. He didn't care. He was like, yeah, let's do it. 700 was last sold for an eBay. You got 700 here in trading credit, and I gave, I threw in an extra couple $100 and got a really nice Wander Franco card and a PSA slab. Took it right back to the other guy, traded him that Wander card for the Ohtani card that I really wanted, and it was no big deal. But there's when you need to get something back quick, and someone's in the middle of a season, they could get hurt, they could do something stupid, anything could happen. SGC really makes up for it. I know on eBay and stuff, a PSA card sells for a bit more, but when you got injuries like guys like Jamar Chase, Trevor Lawrence getting hurt, or Trey Lance getting hurt, Zach Wilson getting benched, there's so much. You want cards back pretty quick. And, Cade Cunningham getting hurt, you want stuff back so you can get rid of it if you want to quickly. And SGC definitely has a bit of a leg up just for the time value of money. But of course, PSA, if you're grading stuff and you don't need it back right away and you don't care, if it's maybe not the middle of a season, you don't mind waiting a couple months, you want to take that risk, nothing's going to happen. I've seen nothing wrong with PSA either. There's good in both. There really is. So, and SGC, obviously, I think more consistent with the numbers, like with what grade you're going to get. I think you could, have a better idea of what you're going to get when you send something into SGC rather than PSA, where sometimes it can feel like a coin flip.
Jason, I want you to talk about you've graded way more cards than me and Huck, so
yeah,
I want to hear where you're at now. Obviously you crack some PSAs to send to SGC, but you do a ton of subs with PSA, and want to hear where you're at.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I think to me, just as I was just talking about, like my evolution of a dealer mindset, it has, because I've learned, honestly, I think I graded over 1,000 cards with SGC over the past 365 days. When PSA was real high, I never would send to them. I was never sending anything to them when it was 50 plus. I didn't. I might have sent 10 cards of PSA when it was $50, but I wouldn't spend more than $50. But anyway, and I moved all those SGC except the ones that are in the PC. But I will say, learning both companies and just doing shows, going to trade nights, going to big shows, selling on eBay. PSA slabs are much more liquid. A lot of times it'll take longer to to sell a SGC slab. In my experience. So, but all that being said, I'm 100% same with you, Huck. I still send. Like I got a 4-card order coming back, not the PSA. I got a 4-card order coming back. Should be a couple days. I still send stuff to them. I'm just a little bit more. It's very specific on what I send, and I'm still of that. Here's what I've also learned. I've also learned that SGC vintage is as liquid or more liquid than PSA. So their vintage is as liquid as modern PSA slabs are. So it's almost easier to sell a SGC vintage card than it is a PSA vintage card, which is a dynamic you don't hear much about, right? Everyone says, SGC, whatever, they're not as liquid, but in vintage, 100% they are. So I'm trying to learn all these dynamics, and then like I said, I had never really sent a lot of even the inserts from the 90s stuff, and that's what PSA, like, they I had some grader. I mean, because I'm really meticulous and pretty good about pre-grading. I know what these cards should grade at, so with this recent order, I mean, some grader just put 7 8s and 9s, 7 8 9 7. They weren't really graded. I'm pretty sure I spent way more time looking over the cards than the grader looked at the card and assigned a grade to it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that may be the case with inserts of 90 stuff. I might make SGC the same for that as well, now that prices are, at a good place. And I will say, other place where SGC slabs are pretty liquid is little niche stuff. Like I don't know, Prism Wrestling, Steve Austin silvers, and different different little niche cards that you can get them back fast, and it's just, if there's a good collector base for a different over a certain product or player or athlete, SGCs for that too. So and I got a 10 card order at Beckett right now too. I send stuff that I feel like that SGC or PSA would have hammered, but there's a chance with BGS. So I don't trust BGS and I don't like BGS. But if it's a card that, like, one of them's like a Mikal Bridges Contenders Optic rookie auto, right? It's a card that should probably be slabbed, right? You know what I mean? But I felt like PSA would have probably gave it a 7. SGC would have maybe gave it an 8. BGS might give it a 9. You know what I mean? So I take some chances with BGS because they're pretty cheap right now too, but not many. I've sent maybe 30 cards total to BGS. That's it. In the recent, I'm talking about in the last like 9 months.
Well, you and me are about the same thing. I think there's a good question there on the chat. I hear about SGC from the bench. I hear about the SGC turnaround time, but if they get less money in return, are they harder to move from modern? Wouldn't it just make more sense to stick with PSA? I think in some circumstances it is, but I think it depends on how many hoops and what you're willing to go through to get that card back, and what is it going to grade at? With some of this stuff. Yeah, I mean, graders look at cards for less than a minute. I disagree with that. I'm now PSA. I do agree that there's just so many cards and so many different graders, so much grading experience, are running through cards, just like that. Do I feel the same way at the SGC? No, I do feel like SGC truly takes a look at the cards. Now, are they perfect? No. Do they make mistakes? Yes. But do they have that to me, that long stability of trust? Yes. But
I think SGC. I think just to your point, real quick, and then you can take the floor back. I was just gonna say, I think SGC, they may be still fairly quick because SGC only has 20 graders and they do the volume they do, so they got to move pretty quick because PSA's got 100 plus graders now, but they're doing probably, I don't know, 5x the volume. But I'll say I think what I've learned is SGC actually, when you look over their grading standards, they actually use that. When they look over the card, they're actually accurately using their standards that they put out for you to look at. In my also personal experience, PSA does not use their own standards in a lot of cases when grading. So, sorry to interrupt you, Josh.
No, I think that's a good point. And I think it's a good point too, as a, as a person who collects SGC or collects any graded card, I think it's very important that you don't necessarily just focus 100% on what the grade is on that card. Look at the actual card itself. There are some cards that I've seen that have been PSA 10s that are no way PSA 10s. You know what I mean? They're definitely 8s or 9s. Someone just, was going through an order and just was stacking up PSA 10s. So I think that's an important component too, especially when you get to see a card in person. Just because it has a Gem Mint 10 PSA 10 on it does not mean I'm talking about to the real card collector, I'm talking to that person right now. If it has a PSA 10 on it, or even an SGC 10 or something like that, and it's not a 10, and it, that I've had a lot of those conversations too that make a big difference with really people that care about who they're actually collecting too. So don't get so dreamed up on the, this is a PSA 10. It's this card. It's fine. It's perfect. I'm going to sell it. Doesn't matter. No, I think you should take a look at the actual card that's inside the slab when you're evaluating this.
I want to take up Ethan's here because, so this is something I think I've learned because I've graded so much that honestly, I don't think this is the case because I remember, when they started back bulk and, and people were getting back bulk orders. Not the ones from a year ago, the recent bulk that came this new national, when people started getting those back, a lot of people they had just put away cards and they sent them and they probably didn't look them over that great. Right. So I don't think because I think I would say it's a lot of times with PSA, it really is the grader. If you get a young grader or a new grader or something like that, you can, they can really mess up your order or give a lot of 10s, So it's the inconsistencies with PSA, I don't think are, a bigger, because I've heard people, you'll hear people say, well, send to KK Sports because he gets all the, 10s. Well, I've had orders, I get 75%, 85% 10s. And I've never used a bulk submitter for PSA. I use a big bulk submitter for SGC. I use Boca Card Subs, Eric Drew. That's what I use for SGC because he's like Huck, he's in Boca Raton, so he gets them back faster. But with PSA, I've always submitted direct. So how is it I've gotten orders of 70 and I'm talking 30, 40 cards, and I got in a 30 card order, I got 25 10s, so I think that's a fallacy that is out there that, you got to be a big account to get, a lot of 10s of PSA. It really comes down to, there's a lot of people that were in the past sending a lot of stuff that they really didn't look over that well. I think that's the case a lot of times. Yeah. And for me, it's with the recent inconsistencies of PSA, it's made me I'm going to be real stringent on what I'm sending to PSA again. So I'm not going to just, if it's borderline, I won't send it to PSA as well.
Yeah. And not, listen to this, and I want to just be clear too, and Huck can elaborate too, but not every card needs to be graded.
Yeah.
Period. If you can get that through your head, even if it's a 1 of 1, or if it's a 1 of 5, or whatever special card, a hit card, if it's got some imperfections, or you think if it's gonna bring down the value of the card, and you'd rather just sell it raw, sell it raw. Let somebody else take that chance. Let somebody else work on getting it graded, authenticated, whatever.
Yep.
I think that's a big thing too, that you have to sort of internalize. You have to say, I can't grade everything, even if it's a hit. All hits are not created equal.
Yeah. And when I'm pulling them, I pull most of the cards. I have the nice cards I have. And like JMac said, you get this kind of weird attachment to it because you pulled it and you want it to be perfect and you want it to be good. And you want it to be, you want it to live up to the hype of when you first saw it and you were shocked, and you want it to be perfect and amazing. But it's gotten really, it gets easier to dissociate, from the cards the more you do it, but it's really hard. And you have to be very honest on what to grade and what not to, because especially with very modern stuff, the clock is ticking. Things move very fast. And every week that goes by, it's either, losing a lot of value or it's just slowly, it's like an hourglass, but, it's losing value when you pull this modern stuff. And, I want to go back to what From the Bench said about the SGC turnaround time. I just want to give a quick story. Was when I pulled this Amanda Nunes card, UFC fighter, the 1 of 1 from UFC Select. And it was 3 weeks before she was about to fight. And with PSA and SGC in regards to that, if I had taken that card and subbed with SGC and got it back in a week and then sold it the night she had won, the card was double that night compared to what I actually sold it for 3 months later, because I went with PSA and those the turnaround time was way longer. So it really depends. Everyone's needs are different when it comes to turnaround times. And I just have so many stories where I wish I had went with SGC instead, because I would have liked it back sooner to get rid of it and get the timing down. So yeah, there's so many different needs and in this hobby, and everyone has different needs, and you just it's really all situational when it comes to grading and all this stuff. So it's very nuanced sort of issue, but I wouldn't say one is better than the other. That's not the right way to think about things.
Right.
Yeah. So
I look at them as they're like tools that they're tools in your tool belt in the hobby is what they really are.
Exactly. Perfect.
It depends. Yeah. What do you want to get out of them? Not what they want to get out of you. Use them to get what you need out of them. Right. And, and so to Josh's point, rare cards and stuff like that, that you would feel like it needs to be graded. But if it's like, if it's got some major flaw or defect and it's going to get a 6 or a 7 and it's a modern or ultra modern card, you'd be much better off just leaving it ungraded, because there's a rare card or a very sought after card, there's going to be a collector out there that's going to want it and that will buy it regardless. Even that one, with the whole SGC 4 PSA 9 thing, that was still a card to 50. Someone would want it, but it's a good point, Josh, because like that, this Elephant Prism, it had some minor that just sold on eBay for me. I didn't grade it. I put it in a 1-touch, and I'm selling it that way because there was minor surface issues on it, and it just, it would have got, probably a 7. So it was much, easier to sell that card, not graded.
Well, even on that, and I know this is kind of stupid, but like even on that front, like if you're going to a card show, I would put and you want to move specific cards, I'd put them in a 1-touch. I wouldn't put them in a top loader. I think that's another thing too. Just the little things that you can do that'll give you an advantage of trying to sell or move or trade or do whatever. Someone brings me up a top loader or something, or it kind of looks rough, that's a first impression of a card. And I don't think, that doesn't sell as well unless you have it in a, you don't have to go crazy with the pro molds and all this other, the high end 1-touches. I think just putting in a general 1-touch and showing that you care, that makes the card more sellable.
I was gonna say I'm gonna give you 60% in a top loader, but I might give you 75% in a 1-touch, right?
Correct.
If you could become with some old dirty yellow top loader, I'm gonna be like, So,
well, I mean, it's just like when you're looking at tables, Jason and Huck, when you've been at shows, I mean, doesn't a 1-touch, or obviously the graded with slabs are easy to be attracted to, but I mean, anything raw, you want it to be in a nice 1-touch, because you're thinking, if I do buy this card or I do get this card, maybe I want to get it graded. So and I want it to be in a good condition. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, for sure. Obviously, if someone has something in a 1-touch, it's like, you're inviting them to look at the surface. You're not just like, oh, I'm hoping it's too much of a hassle for them to take it out and look at it. I'm hoping they just kind of skip that part. But yeah, no, one touch and that first impression with a card definitely is an underrated part of selling stuff and moving stuff. I totally agree. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we're at an hour and a half, so I don't keep you guys
Wow.
all night long here. I know it is a Sunday night here, and
Yeah.
so yeah. So appreciate you guys coming on, and maybe we could continue this conversation. Keep doing these. Maybe not. Both of y'all don't have to be on every time, but if you got if you want to come on, cool. You can come on anytime, both of y'all. So it's definitely open the channel up to you anytime you want to come on.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you, Jason, as always, and Huck's doing great things for the hobby. So,
Thank
you just want to be around people. I'll say this in a whole, sort of an ending thing. Like, you just want to be around people who are good people in the hobby. If you can make those relationship connections, across state lines, wherever,
Yeah.
those things, that's what keeps me, going in the hobby. To be honest with you, too, is people like yourselves and other people, my friends, and people like just talking cards and there's an organic thing to this sports card stuff and not just sports cards, but like TCG cards and other stuff. It's just like there's stories that connect people and bind people to some of these things are, and that's what makes it special. That's really why I'm in the hobby. It's not, I don't know about you out there, and maybe it'll just be the last little thing we can leave it with, Jason, but like, are you going to remember, the X, Y, and Z of what you sold X, Y, and Z for? Or do you remember the stories or the things, the people that connect you to those type of things? That's what I remember most about the deals and cards and things that I've done. And, especially with my son, all the cards that he's pulled or graded or had or whatever, it's the stories that make the impact. It's not the card per se at the end of the day that I have to have in my hand to make sure look, there's going to be some of them, but it's not like it's the end all be all. That's what I'm trying to say.
100%. It's usually the experiences and the connections made, and then sometimes it is like the hunt, and it's what we were talking about earlier. It's like the experience that has that you've gained over time to then say, oh crap, they got that card in a value box. That to me, that is always fun too at in-person shows. Is you've learned some rare card and you wind up finding it in an obscure place. So but yeah, and then so that I'll remember some of those kind of scenarios. But yeah, by and large, it's the people. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Even just from my channel, and I hear from people like Josh and his son are able to bond over this hobby and watch my videos, and then I hear another story of a guy whose kid watches the videos too, and he's always singing the song at the end of my videos, and it's just like stuff like that is what really makes it so special. Yeah, I don't care at the end of the day, how much I sold something for, or I got, something $25 cheaper than what comps are, like those are nice and they feel good. It's a little instant gratification, but yeah, helping people bond and giving people memories and hearing stories and connecting, that's makes it great. Yeah, no, this was an awesome stream, and I'm glad I get to learn from you guys a lot. It's really awesome. Thank you.
Well, you're doing good stuff too. We're learning from you as well. So keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, gents. Well, we'll close it out here. Thanks everyone in the chat for joining. See y'all next time.
All right, appreciate it.
Take care, everyone.
You too.